Hi, Anders. How are you?
Hi, Raya. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for being here. We got in touch with each other a few weeks ago, months ago, maybe, and now you are one of the very, very, very few companies I recommend my network of startups and scale-ups to work with. Yes,
Oh,
and there
thank
is
you.
a reason. Yeah, yeah. Now you know, and there is a reason for that because I trust you because you have an excellent platform that is different from other services that want to be similar, that offer similar things, similar companies that do similar things. So anyway, we're going to talk about this, and we're also going to talk about your story because this is also an inspiring story, full of advice, packed with tips and what to do, what not to do, because you've seen it all. It's been some time now that you're running this company. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I let you introduce yourself, and we get started with how it's been and how it's going.
Well, thank you very much for that very kind introduction, and thank you for recommending us. I'm flattered. Yes, but it's been quite a journey. So Fuse is the company, and my name is Anders Lassen, and I've been the founder and CEO for a long time. Feels like an eternity. Company was founded in 2011 while we were still students in Trondheim, and we were team of very passionate developers. So we loved coding. So that was basically what we did all the time, just coding different things. We made games, we made frameworks, we made demos. And around the time of 2011, this was around the time when the smartphone boom was just starting for real. The App Store was starting for real, and Steve Jobs made the announcement that Flash is going to die because we're not going to allow it on the iPhone. And that's when we said, aha. Oh, sorry.
What is Flash?
What was Flash?
It's not there anymore.
back in the old times. Well, if you wanted to make something cool on the internet, that could be a game or a flashy animation or banner ads. Like it was used a lot for advertising. Then Flash was what you would use because then you could actually animate things smoothly and make it pop on the screen, and everyone could display it in their browser as long as they had the Flash plugin. And most people had the Flash plugin, back in the early 2000s. But Steve Jobs said that it was not going to be allowed on the iPhone, and that's where we had our basically startup idea that, hey, we have built tools that allows developers to build flashy stuff and cross-compile it. So you could put it on the web, you could put it on the iOS and Android. And back then, it was also relevant to put it on like Windows, Linux, and Mac. So our original product was that. It was called, eventually, it became known as Fuse. And we quickly had a lot of users, grew to 80,000 free users. And we were able to raise a lot of money based on that traction because this was such a cool space. This was back when everyone wanted to attract developers into their ecosystem, and it was also not uncommon to pay for those tools. But as the years progressed, we faced
From the moment you had the idea to having users, how much time went by?
Well, in the beginning, we had a very closed beta, you could call it, where we just invited people in, and we even paid people to use it for a while because it was so early. It took a few years to build it.
Business model.
Great business model, but you fake it till you make it, and through having users, we learned so much, and eventually, when we launched in 2015. We got a lot of attention very fast and a very passionate community around our product. So the challenge was that we weren't the only ones with this idea. And all the large companies, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, they eventually all launched their own alternatives to Fuse.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided it was all going to be free because this was more like a bait or a lure to get developers into the respective ecosystems. So we learned the hard way that there's a big difference between having passionate free users and having a customer. It's very different.
Right. Yeah. And so 2011, You have the idea. 2015, you launch.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you have investors in between
Yes.
to pay for the users?
So we have raised money, I think, in something like 8 rounds. So we have had the investors all the way, but in the beginning we just took in a little bit, just so we were able to work on it full time. But we were still in the beginning, it was in the student dorms, and then we got a very crappy little office in Trondheim, and then we moved to a bigger office in Trondheim, and we eventually moved to Oslo. So it took time. We built really cool technology, like being able to cross-compile, and that means you build something once, and you export it to the web, to iPhone, to Android, to desktop. That was a big deal, and it was something that did not exist on the market. And we traveled around the world to demo it to customers, to meetups, on conferences, and people were super excited about it, and I still am. But in 2017, that was around 7 months after we raised a lot of money to go big with this.
Can you give an idea of how much money, a range?
Yeah. So over the years we raised, it was a total of something like $15 million. So it was a lot. But this was, and that's also what I want to get into, is like the climate is very different now compared to what it was back in the 2015, 2016 timeframe.
There was a lot of money going to the ecosystem, and the hype also to invest in startups.
Yeah.
Almost blindly. Well, you're a good company, but there has been a lot of investment made and lost for many investors at that time.
For sure. Yeah, the interest rate was basically 0 or negative, and investors had needed to try something to get returns. So we were able to raise, and unfortunately, we were not able to monetize. And Google launched the final competitor that basically took the spot in the landscape that we were aiming for, which was today there's a product from Google called Flutter. Flutter that you can look at, and our product was very, very similar to that. So they also made a cross compiler that you could write in this language called Dart, and you can export all these platforms. And that has become extremely popular, and it's used a lot in the industry, but it's free.
So and it's hard to create a giant, even if it was a paid product. They have different channels, and even if you're funded, you don't have the same kind of funding. And you couldn't see that coming, right?
Well, it's always hard to see things coming, but it was a popular space where like all the big players wanted to have a product in that space eventually. So maybe we could have played our cards differently, but at least we will get to the final part of the story. Is what would we do then? But just to finish up that part of the story is that Google launched Flutter, and they blocked all the marketing mechanisms that we were previously using, like all the AdWords and all the, like if you Googled the terms that we previously were successful marketing ourselves through, it was now all just taking you to Flutter and to Google. So yes, it's tough to be a relatively small Norwegian startup when Google decides to do the same as you.
Exactly. So when was that, and what happened then?
This was in 2017, summer of 2017. So what happened then is that we sort of panicked. Okay, what do we do now? Our business plan is not working. We have free users. Whenever we try to convert them to paying users, most of them just switch to another free alternative. And we don't have a big enough community to sustain. It also became an ecosystem race, because not just what we built, but what the community built added a lot of value on top. And then we were also losing out on that race because we were too small and we didn't have the financial backing. So So customers and integrators didn't trust us the same way they trusted the big ones.
Of course, of course.
So what we did was to think, okay, we have a lot of capital still. We can invest that in a new strategy. And that's exactly what we did. And we chose a much more, you could say, while our previous product was hyper scalable, instant global, go everywhere, go big or go home. The new strategy was much more down to earth and you could say realistic. And not realistic is not the right word. It's more like you can actually do the numbers without too big assumptions, and it will and see that it would work. So we've always been passionate about building technology that makes it easier to create cool things with computers, whether that's apps or games or cool websites or anything. That's always been our goal, is to make that easier for both people and companies to do. So, but if you look at how most of those things are built today, like if you want to build a cool app or a cool website or a cool product, the only known way is to hire a team, give them a lot of time and a lot of money, and hope that they will build the thing you want.
Or find a software development company on the other side of the planet and have issues with, communication, timeline, internet connection sometimes.
Exactly.
And just finding the right one you can trust is a challenge. Who do you want to build an app? Where do you start? Who do you talk to? Who's reliable?
And most people have this is either like we built things our entire lives, but most companies, or most people that get in charge of such an endeavor have very limited experience sourcing something like that. They don't know if they've met the right team or the right company, or how much it's going to cost, if it's going to be any good. It's very hard to build good things. So that's the core problem that we ultimately wanted to solve. So with our previous product, we tried to solve that by building better tools and selling it to developers. But with after we sort of pivoted in 2017, 2018, we wanted to sell to the buyer, like who is the one paying for all this development in the first place? And can we offer them something that actually solves the problem and doesn't just sell them a piece, like a tool that they can use to try to solve the problem? So we decided to build a full stack application platform. And what does that mean? It means if you want to build an application, that could be a platform where your end users have a mobile app, and on the web you have a web app, and on the back office you have different admin interfaces for customer support, for sales, for marketing, for operations. That's what I mean by an application. It's the whole package. You want to build that, and you want to not have to do it the traditional way. You don't want to hire a team. You don't want to find some consultants. You don't want to outsource it to the other side of the globe, and you don't want to buy white label, but you can buy Fuse. It's a platform that contains all the building blocks that you need, which dramatically reduces the amount of time that needs to be put into actually building the product, because we have all the bits and pieces, everything from how do you authenticate users, how do you manage your marketing content.
Already built, no need to build from scratch.
Exactly.
Again.
Exactly, because if you build from scratch, it's thousands of hours just to figure out what components you're going to use and integrate them all together and make sure everything works. How are you able to charge for your products and services? Are you able to manage content? Are you able to store data in a way that is GDPR compliant, for example? All of those things we put into a package, and then the companies can buy an actual solution to their problem instead of buying tools to solve the problem.
Instead of buying hours and testing if it works or not, it's buying modules, saying I need a CRM, I need a login, I need this, and you put it together.
Yeah, and we already put it together, and we have one set of components that fits like 95% of the customers, but it's also very flexible to adapt to when customers have special requirements for any particular component. So that was the bold vision that we started on back in 2018, and now, almost 6 years later, we have 20 happy customers on it. We are profitable, and we're growing, and all of our customers are super happy, and we're actually able to sort of disrupt the way products are built.
Yes.
So we have created a new way for companies to source complex software. And the cool thing about it is that we get to do this now profitably. We can grow profitably. We can keep investing in our platform while making money. We're no longer reliant on raising outside capital. And yes, it's not a hyper scalable SaaS model like the old product was, but we can still scale to hundreds of customers at least with this model.
You're making a good point, because we are all investors and founders sometimes just going for the scalability, but we need to scale to make an impact, to have users, to grow revenue. And you are, a tech person with a lot of experience, you and your team, and you're not building a scalable product, you see? So there is like maybe some irony and wisdom to get from there, to learn from there. If you are going for a less scalable product, but more profitable, so there is something to learn there. And this is also my philosophy, and this is what I also advise the others and coach on and teach. Do the unscalable things first, because maybe it's good enough, maybe it's great, maybe you don't need. And absolutely, you should not start by building a solution that is scaling from day one, because you haven't tested the options before. You actually don't know what works, what doesn't work, and you don't know if maybe you don't need that solution you have in mind. Maybe you can do it in other ways, no code or manually, or having a different kind of business that is not scalable, but maybe even more profitable and faster going.
And I think this
product and profit.
Absolutely. I think especially now in the current investment climate, it's much, much harder to raise money now than it was back when we did. So investors would be much more focused on how to get profitable, and it's more expensive to raise also. So considering other business models that is not pure SaaS, I think a lot of companies startups especially, should consider that. And remember, there are a lot of companies, very successful, very large companies, that has this hybrid model, like Salesforce, for example, SAP. It's and like even HubSpot. It's very rare that you can just sell a SaaS product that delivers a lot of value without any customization. It usually needs to be customized. It needs to be integrated. It needs to talk to the other systems that the customer is already using in order to be truly valuable. And I think all of the pure SaaS concepts that had their glory days in from 2010 to 2015 maybe, they're all exhausted now. It's very, very rare to come up with a new SaaS concept that is likely to be able to get hundreds of thousands of paying users. People have tried so much, and so much money has been spent investing into concept. I think most of that is sort of saturated. But once you start mixing in a little bit of customization and services, the willingness to pay is like 100x, and it's a lot more unexplored space. So there are much more products and services to be discovered and shaped. I believe.
It's a great starting point to do, the heavy, boring, annoying, unscalable activities, product and services, to learn, to build a relationship with customers and see what can be optimized, what can we put on top of that to scale it. and scale gradually, not start the other way around. Because most entrepreneurs or aspiring founders look at platforms, compare themselves, have a benchmark when they look at platforms already built, like Booking.com or
Exactly.
whatever big company out there. They say, oh, so we need to be like them. We need to build something like them. No, you have not seen the groundwork that was done 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The learning, the failures, the everything, every building block. You just see the end product. You do not start with the end product.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in a few years you will go back to pure SaaS. Who knows?
Yeah, and like if
now,
why are people so scared of revenue? Like if if our biggest problem ends up being that we are making too much money from selling services on top of our platform, then that's easy to build partnerships and scale through professional service providers. So, but the important thing is that we never take on any, like all of our customers, first they need to license our platform, and then we sell them services in the context of the platform. And as long as we do that, we are always growing our like subscription revenue base, and the customers are getting real problems solved. And we learn so much from interacting with the customers and making sure we actually solve the entire problem for them. And on the other side, we continuously focus on, okay, when a customer requests a new feature that we don't have yet, we try to build it into the platform so that it's not custom for them, but as far as it makes sense, as long as it's a horizontal feature that we think can be generally useful.
And that's your scalable part. That's where you can scale.
Yes.
And save time.
So over time, we've had things like solve things generally, like payments, like content, like how to collect data and build dashboards and make it actionable. So we can build very cool advanced things that you would otherwise need a huge team to do.
And the difference, and also the difference between you and more traditional software development companies, that you have you have a license in place. You have a membership to access. There is a membership to access your platform.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So if you want to build a digital product, you come to us. It starts by licensing the platform so that you can have access to all the components that we have already built and integrated. So, and we also, yes, I mean, did you ask about the license agreement itself or more the business model?
So basically the business model, because you have a subscription base.
Yes.
Right?
You pay per month for the platform, and then you pay by the hour to customize it to solve your problems. And then we focus a lot on making the customer self-sufficient in using the platform. Because once you have, for example, you're selling your tickets through our platform, then customer service needs a place to work, the marketing people needs a place to work, the sales representative needs a place to work, and the CFO needs a dashboard to have an overview of what's going on. All that they can do inside the same platform. To do something similar, you would otherwise need to buy a lot of different systems, integrate them together, and then build your website and application on top, so that you can hear the amount of development time that would otherwise be needed to do that.
Exactly. And this is also where you have innovated in the industry in terms of business model. I don't know any other company personally that has a similar setup.
And the reason is probably because of our back, like the history that we talked about initially, is that I don't think we would have been able to raise money on that before the product was built, because it sounds too good to be true. So I think it would be, even back when it was easy to raise, I think that would have been hard. But we were in a situation where we had failed, but we still had a lot of capital from what we have raised on earlier. We had a lot of good people, we had a lot of know-how, and we had a lot of tech pieces, but we needed to change the business model and then invest for years into making that work. So it was not a given that it would work. at the time we pivoted, and it took many years still to get to the point we are now, where we're profitable, growing, happy customers, and a really cool platform that we can go anywhere we want with.
So to sum up, maybe for the founders and aspiring ones who want to build a business or fundraise, or what do you recommend? How can they accelerate their growth based on your experience and avoid some of the common pitfalls?
So in my experience, it's relatively easy to raise the first money. As long as you have a good team, and like for the first investments, the investors typically look at the team. Do we believe this team is smart and will be able to execute? So even if the idea is a bit half-cooked in the beginning, many VCs will say, okay, but I believe in this team. I think these founders are great. They will do great things. We just need to get on board there. But then it will become progressively harder, because the next time you raise, you need to show results. You will be measured increasingly more on what you've been able to deliver. So I would say, if you are able to, at least now that it's so hard to get, it's much harder to raise, and the terms are worse, the more you can build on your own before you raise, and even if that means mixing in a services component in the business model, like we just discussed, I think you will learn much more, you will be much more confident, and you can raise when the time is right.
I agree. This is also what we're doing within our companies. It's about creating services and then looking into what to scale, what can be automated, and raising money. I'm an investor myself. I have investors. I co-invest with investors. I have an investment company with other investors. I could raise money from them, right? From my network. And I have investors as advisors, and we talk about it. Should we raise money to help us speed up the process, hire more people? We're like, no. Let's continue the way we're doing it. It's of course, it's a step-by-step process. It's lower. However, it's more solid. So this is my advice today, my 2 cents today for founders. It's hard to bootstrap. It's hard to work on the sides, how to do consulting while building your product, but it has a lot of value and underestimated knowledge and insights that it can bring.
And focus on sort of acquiring the problem. Like how can you get a customer to outsource their problem to you, and then you can see, can we build some tech to be better at it once we have this problem at scale?
Exactly.
Yeah, because initially you will have 0 customers, and then maybe you're lucky to get 1. And even if you have to run and do everything manually for the first 5 or 10 customers, then at least you're learning how to acquire the problem and how to get the customer to outsource that problem to you, and then you can fix the scalability.
And you can understand really the problem.
So just to pull it to the extreme, for example, if I was starting a home delivery grocery shopping service, all I would do is make a website or something where they can place orders, and then I would run to the store and buy all the things.
Of course.
Because if you start at the other end with building the warehouses and the robots and everything, you will spend all your money before you know if a customer will even want to buy what you're offering.
Exactly. And I would even, add, you don't need a landing page. You just need to go to your neighbors in the neighborhood and say, do you need eggs on Sunday? I can go get it for you.
Yeah, and especially another trend that points in this direction is with the whole AI revolution that is coming, and services like ours, which dramatically reduces the cost of building software. Is that building the software will be cheap. It's better to postpone it, because it will just be cheaper and cheaper to do the longer you wait.
Yes, and there are so many no-code tools. that we can use already, and that will they will. It's only going to get more and more crowded. It's going to be a crowded space where we can just pick what works best for us.
So the trend is definitely pointing in the direction of postponing building the tech, just focusing on getting the customers to buy it through you, be the conversion point where customers go, and then optimize later, build software later. That's just to optimize your margins, basically, once you have successfully gotten customers in a volume where it makes sense.
Great points from a tech person, right? A tech person advising not to build tech.
We're seeing the same trends from like me from the entrepreneur side, and you from the investment side. Seems like we're looking for the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. More solid businesses, profitable and focused more on solving problems for clients than building a business without a solid foundation. Thank you for today, Anders. I think this session was packed with valuable advice.
Thank you for letting me on your channel.
Of course. If today founders and aspiring ones and entrepreneurs want to get in touch with you, how can they connect with you?
Fuse.no, and there's a contact form. And my name is Anders Lassen. You can also just look me up in the phone book. I'm also always very responsive. I love to talk to new companies and discuss how we can build software to optimize what they're doing. That's basically, once you have built you figure out what problem you want to solve and how you're going to attract customers, then come to us and we will make it a reality.
Thank you for today.
Same to you. Thank you so much.